Okay. Oh, yeah, we go.
There you go.
All right, hello, folks from the Trailer Park. I do appreciate y'all giving us this opportunity. We know, of course, Sheriff Greg Hamilton, Wayne Vincent, Austin Police Association President, and, of course, Chief, of course, Art Acevedo. We all know him. And we appreciate y'all giving us this time. I want to start with, there's going to be we'll have some announcements, and there's going to be a golf tournament. Is this correct, Mr. Vincent?
Yes, there's the
Fill us in on that if you can.
a Jaime Padron golf tournament at Terra Vista up in Round Rock. We're looking forward to it September 23rd, 2 tee times. Please contact the website, Jaime Padron Golf Tournament. We'd love to see you out there in memory of our good friend.
10-4, and you have lots of big time, big name people out there too, I guess.
Well, I'm going to be there.
Get it up.
Yeah, that's reason enough to go, right?
Sheriff, you're also involved in the golf
Yeah,
tournament?
we are having, the Travis County Sheriff's Office has teamed up with Tejanos in Action and also the Johnston High School Alumni Association. One of the things that they're trying to do is raise money to build a memorial to put in front of the East Side Memorial. And I think they've been trying for 10 years and haven't really got any footing on that. So they came over to the Sheriff's Office and asked us to assist them. And they, Johnston High School, since the Vietnam War, has lost 39 alumni. And one of the things that we're trying to do is raise about $15,000 to help them to put up that memorial. And that tournament is October 29th at Shadow Glen in Manor, Texas.
And you can also go to the sheriff's website. I think I saw.
Yeah, it's out there.
It's on the sheriff's, Travis County Sheriff's website.
We should have it up on the
Information,
screen before the show's over with.
And being an alma mater of graduate of Johnston in 1972,
Been a
we
lot
want to
of
make sure
a lot
that
of people come out of Johnson High School.
Oh,
I didn't
yes.
realize that many had fallen.
Well, yeah, and there's many more that served and are still alive. And that was another issue that someone brought to me and said, "Hey, wait a minute, we serve. I mean, we're
Well,
back."
Chief,
but
you got
we-
any community programs going on?
Every day, too many to mention on such a short show, but
Yeah,
I will be at the Jaime Padron golf tournament. I think it's going to be huge. And then this Sunday is our Run with the Heroes at South Park Meadows. It's going to be a great event. You can go to our website. You can go to Run Texas website. And I hope folks will come out and run with us. And that'll also be in honor of Jaime Padron. But more importantly, just as important, we'll raise funds for the Special Olympics, which is something really important to us in the police department.
Good, good. We have a community event coming up.
Quickly on our announcements here.
Alumni from Martin Junior High reunion will be held, Eagles, will be held at the office on 7th Street. And it's scheduled to be on September the 29th from 7 p.m. And it says, bring your own potluck, finger foods, bring your own baby. I don't drink, so I don't know what that B's for. Other than that, you know.
I just bring it, never mind.
Okay.
No, Botana.
Okay,
Yeah,
Botana,
I
there
heard
you
you have
go.
to make sure that nobody's got any warrants out there, right?
So we invite all those who attended Martin Junior High. It opened in 1968. And we have quite a few alumni that attended Martin Junior High. For those of you who are not familiar with Martin Junior High, Allen was the middle junior high that we attended at that time before Martin was open. They changed the boundaries once Martin was open, and half of us went to Martin and the others continued at Allen. October the 6th is the voter registration deadline. For those of you that are not registered and want to participate in the presidential election, it's very important that you register by October the 6th. That is the deadline. We have quite a few folks around that can register you, or you can go to the Travis County voter registration website and register as well.
There'll be lots of drives coming up.
lot of voter registration drives going on right now, and a lot of campaigns to get the voters out. So you don't want to miss on this presidential election that's going to be held on
The
November
sheriff's
the
going to be
6th.
on the ballot too, so
Yeah, you don't want to miss that.
don't
Okay.
want to miss that.
Yeah.
I already let
So
it slip once.
so that's pretty much an announcement. So I want to get down to
Okay,
business here.
Let's get down to business. I know we got a lot of different questions. There has been some high-profile drug busts lately. The big heroin bust from our favorite restaurant. Who would have thought it? But I think that the one that made the least news was probably the one that I caught the most was the two guys from Northeast Austin who had, I guess, gone to Atlanta with some dope and got caught with a bunch of money in Louisiana. And am I getting this correct so far? And they were members of the drug cartel?
Is that for me?
I guess
Yeah, sure. You know,
both of y'all should
I
know
don't think
this.
it's a surprise to anybody in our community that being in the corridor that we're at in Central Texas, with the 35 corridor that comes from the border all the way to Canada, that we're a huge hub for the distribution northbound of illegal drugs, and southbound it's really guns and money that goes back into Mexico. So one of the things that we did in 2007 that we directed our organized crime division is that they're a very specialized unit, and I wanted them to focus on the big players and not on the mid-level and the street narcotics going on in the city, because that's another unit. And I'm pretty proud of the fact that if you look in the last few years, there have been quite a few huge arrests that have gone federal, and we've put some really bad people in prison where they belong, so they can't be poisoning our kids.
That's a good one. Central Texas Organized Crime Task Force, is this what we're talking about?
Absolutely, and our organized crime division and the
No, it's the
sheriff's
sheriff,
guys are working with us.
Yeah, we work,
Multi-agency.
and it's not just Travis County Sheriff's Office and APD. We also work with the surrounding counties also. I believe that the relationship with law enforcement in this particular community is untouched by any other agency around the country. We work extremely close, and not only on the drug trafficking, but human trafficking also.
Well, this is one of the things I did like to emphasize was the close cooperation between them. These fusion centers, this is what helps a lot. Well, I bring that up because Mohammed El-Labieri seems to have had access to sensitive databases and local intelligence reports from right here in the Austin one, and evidently was trying to make political attacks on the governor. And so I'm wondering, y'all all contribute intelligence information to these, to the Fusion Center.
Well, our fusion center is not really focused on political thought or political process. It is actually by law we have to focus on criminal nexus. There has to be a criminal nexus, and for us, what that's afforded us to do is that we have 18,000 plus police departments in this country, 18,000 police departments with different pieces of the puzzle to solve crime, and unfortunately, the information sharing environment has been very poor. It's been non-existent or bad at best. As a result of the Fusion Center, we've been able to bring the agencies here in Central Texas together and be able to collate some of their pieces of those puzzles so we can be a little bit more efficient and more effective, and I think it has worked.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not sure.
Well,
what case
this
you're
wasn't
talking
actually a political information. He was gaining information on our terrorism intelligence and claiming that our governor was Islamophobia. Is that right? Islamophobia. I guess that he's what the heck would that word be? That our governor was anti-Islam.
Oh, okay.
And so I guess he did not sell this information. He said here it shot some of these materials to the media outlet. He allegedly used the documents to claim the department was promoting Islamophobia.
I don't know what limophobia is, but as far as the Fusion
I think it's
Center,
anti-Islam.
one of the things about the Fusion Center, the great thing about it is that we have people located inside together. They don't have to get on the telephone. They don't have to drive over. All of these agencies are in that Fusion Center. All they have to do is walk over.
Well, how did this
over
guy
there.
get this information? I mean, you have proper
I can
security,
tell
I guess.
Yeah,
That's, I guess, my main
you got
question.
a guy on the internet telling a question you're getting that I haven't heard of. I haven't heard of any. I'm not aware of any security breach at the intelligence center. And quite frankly, one of the things that we work very closely is, I think, and I do as a police chief in our department, is building bridges with all communities, whether it's people that follow Islam or Christians or Jews or rich or poor. We try to cross all those economic and religious groups to bring people together, because at the end of the day, what makes our country, I think, second to none is that we are a melting pot for the world, and that unfortunately diversity in our state and immigration have become like four-letter words, despite the fact that diversity and immigration is what's made this country such a great country, that we've brought people from around the world. And quite frankly, the world's hungry, the world's thirsty, and the world's oppressed. And they come here and they've put together a pretty good country.
You know, this guy evidently worked, where he actually worked for Department of Homeland Security, so.
Yeah, well, we can
I
look
guess he
into
had
it and get,
access.
we'll get back to you guys. I'm not sure what case you're talking
Well,
about.
it's your
okay.
people that have been trashing the good immigrants nowadays, so.
Oh, come on, my people, huh?
Your people.
No, they have, no.
Are you talking about the trailer park
Republicans.
people or what?
No, I'm talking about my side of the political aisle compared to his side of the political
I'm
aisle.
the Democrat part and he's
Yeah,
the
well, we'll
Republican.
also ask some about law enforcement has problems with liability, which.
Hey, before you go there, can you give me that word again, that phobia?
ISLAMOPHOBIA.
Oh,
Islamophobia.
Islamophobia. I guess, you know, from trailer park, whatever the heck, I guess I could just plug it in and look up the
Can I ask a
definition.
question on the fusion thing?
Okay, ask Fusion.
Because I know that at the very onset, it was a very controversial issue, the creation of the Fusion Center. But once it's been in place, how has it been effective, and do you know of any particular case where had it not been there, you know, you probably would have not had the information you needed?
Well, I can't think of any particular case, but one of the positives is about it is what I just said, is that those individuals are working in the same building within the same vicinity, and they're able to share information. And I would say that we probably have solved a lot of cases faster because of that.
And without getting specific cases, I absolutely am aware of cases that the analytics that's provided, the interoperability and communication that's occurred between the agencies has had a very positive impact. And I'm trying to think of a specific case, even though I've been briefed, there's so much going on, it's hard to remember them all. But it has been a tremendous tool. Listen, one of the reasons we have so much crime in this country is that we have, one of the reasons we have one of the most inefficient law enforcement models in the world. Because of politics, everybody wants to have their own police department. Every county has to have their own sheriff. You know, there's so much bureaucracy that it doesn't lend itself to efficiency. And so if you look at the rest of the world, most countries have a handful of departments. In our country, I don't think it'll ever change, but it's 18,000 plus departments. So it makes it very difficult. And what we've done with the Intelligence Center is bring us together so we can cut some of that red tape, be able to share information lawfully, protecting people's rights, and focusing on criminal activity and keeping our community much safer, making it much safer, which I think is a win for everybody.
Well, yeah, that's, you could, transnational criminal organizations, I guess they cross all your boundaries, so.
Well, not only do they cross all of our boundaries and all of our agencies, they also put a lot of money into counterintelligence. You know, they're bringing in folks that are former military, former special forces from around the world that are really selling out all of their skills to these transnational groups, and it's important for us to work just as smart as they are and leverage all of our talents.
I've received calls as LULAC, you know, I'm District 12 LULAC director, and I've received calls from individuals. And the reason I ask that question is because, and maybe you can answer, maybe this particular issue doesn't fall into the Fusion Center, but there have been cases where officers have arrived at a particular home looking for a particular subject, yet that subject was already in jail. So is this a slip in the crack, or is this something that the Fusion Center doesn't deal with, or how could that have occurred?
You know, the center can't tell you that somebody's in jail if that investigating agency didn't take the time to find out or ask for help. I mean, we're not going to insert ourselves typically, but one of the first things that I've done as a police officer when I'm conducting an investigation is before I go look for the bad guys, I run them to see if he or she's in jail, and that's just a pretty basic step of the investigative process. So typically, I would say in that case, and under that example, and I don't know, poor Vincent hasn't said a word, it seems like where the investigator forgot to check that box, to check to see if they were in Sheriff Hamilton's jail.
And mistakes are gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's when I come in and represent those officers that the chief hammers because they made a mistake.
I don't hammer
But-
the officers.
No, you don't, but what I'm saying is, when you have situations like that, that's just an anomaly, and it does happen. You're looking for somebody, they're in jail, and information didn't get passed on. Sometimes the detective didn't look that information up.
They
made
have
a
the same
mistake.
name as other people, like Jesse Contreras, my business partner, and they hauled him off for being a bank robber. And I thought, man, yeah, they're working. Anyway,
Yeah, but one of the other things that you have to realize is that this fusion center here in Central Texas is fairly in its infancy stages. So you're going to have those individuals that are going to slip through the cracks until this becomes a second nature for these individuals that need to use the fusion center.
Well, you kind of alluded to the number of law enforcement agencies within a specific county or city. 15 years ago, I know here in Travis County, we entertained what they call the Amigo Plan, which stood for Austin Metropolitan Government. And one of the issues was Metropolitan Police. So what are y'all's position on the creation of Metro Police as opposed to having UT, AISD, Park Police, ACC, what else? We have,
Well, I
like you
can tell you
mentioned,
that
Chief.
that's been thrown around when I first came on
Sunset Valley.
as the sheriff here,
Yeah.
and I think that it's going to be an issue not necessarily with the law enforcement, but it's going to be the issue with the units of government, the city council, the county commissioners. Those individuals are going to have to come up with some type of concept. But I think it'll be too much fighting in order to make that happen. That's my
Don't they
thinking.
have that in LA or Portland or somewhere?
well,
in Miami, I know they have Metro
Well,
Government.
Metro Dade, you've got
Metro-Dade, yeah.
Las Vegas Metro. The problem is that from a monetary standpoint, there's going to come a day where it won't be in our careers, because unfortunately, I don't think we've hit rock bottom. But there's going to come a time where the taxpayers simply cannot afford to pay for, and let's say Travis County, don't just think about the police. Think about how many councils do we have, how many mayors, how many councils, how many city halls, when what would be more efficient is a metropolitan government with representation for each one of those former cities. Just think about this, you got Sunset Valley, you've got Austin, you've got
Pflugerville,
Pflugerville, I mean, just, you've got Westlake, you've got Rollingwood, you've got BKs, you've got Lakeway.
There's approximately
goes on.
29 agencies that bring prisoners to our jail. 29 different
To
agencies
Travis County.
in Travis
Okay,
County.
Greg Hamilton's holiday camp.
that answer to 29 political entities,
Yes.
and every one of those entities have to have their own city hall, their own. So as a taxpayer, I'm speaking more as a taxpayer, I'm looking forward to the day where the taxpayers say, hey, we've got too much redundancy, we need to start collapsing government and having more of a metropolitan approach.
Well, then, Vincent, I'm pretty sure your officers then have a whole book of whenever they book someone in order to, because I'm pretty sure that each entity also has different rules or different procedures or different processes.
Well, that's what makes it difficult in the scenario you're giving where our officers go to a house and
Right.
someone's in jail. We don't know if another agency made that arrest and it just hadn't been reported yet. It creates those problems. The myth, when we're talking about the Fusion Center, the myth is this is some gigantic intelligence gathering apparatus that's going to gather new information. This is information police agencies all over have that information. It's not new information. It's just a new way of sharing that information and making sense of it all and being able to, the famous after 9/11, connect the dots. So it's not new information. It's just a better way of gathering that information. The more we come together, the more effective that info is going to be.
And your office, I'm sure, would like to see that happen.
Our officers survive on information. Had we had information, perhaps, and in this case, it probably wouldn't have happened. But let's say when we lost our brother on April 6th, if we had information that this individual, for instance, may have had that kind of problem, we might have approached that differently. I'm not saying that scenario would have ever happened, but we live
I
and we
understand.
survive on information that may save our lives or may save the lives of the community if we have more information approaching there than we currently do have.
10-4. Yeah, I didn't read about it. Greg Hamilton's holiday camp. I've been there, and it wasn't. I got a new respect for the kind of people.
So your next ride needs to be in the front seat, not in the back seat.
I hope so. Or just no ride at all anymore. But
Yeah.
anyway, I hate to push, but I know we got an audience with some questions, and I'm sure one of them would like to come up here to this microphone. Who wants to be first? Between the infiltrating, which I didn't see anything wrong with, Occupy Austin, and of course now we have. Okay, we'll try Rudy first. State your name.
How doing, gentlemen? My name is Rudy Phillips, and I'm not from here. I'm from Chicago, and where I come from, I never knew a black man that wasn't arrested over 26. You know, and on the applications, they ask you, "Have you ever been arrested?" Well, I got an arrest record as long as your arm, but they never spent a day in the penitentiary. But this was a way of depriving a black man from getting a job. You like that in Texas?
Well, I can tell you here in Travis County and the city of Austin, I think that they took the lead on this, and then Travis County followed. They have removed that box in asking that particular question. One of the other things that I can tell you about Travis County Sheriff's Office, we have, first of all, it was doing, when there was a real bad economic downturn, we put on a job fair over at the Expo Center, and I think we had over 2,000 people that showed up there. And the only way that a employer could come to that is their willingness to hire somebody that had a record. And I don't know how many people got a job out of there, but now twice a month, we have employers that are willing to hire people who have a criminal record come to our jail. We have a job fair at our jail right now, today, and I think we're going on our 4th year. But the city of Austin was the leader on removing that box off of the application.
Wait a minute now. Did I hear you say that you got job fairs in jail?
At the jail, inside the jail.
Damn, I thought
We don't want you to
I
come
thought
to jail.
jail was
Come
for
to jail to
get a
punishment.
Say it again.
Huh?
Say that one more time.
I'm sorry.
So you want to say that again?
Okay. Well, first of all, I said, do you have job fairs in jail? I think you said yeah.
I did.
And I said, damn, I thought that jail was for punishment. I mean, what other kind of hug a thug and a cotton con do you have there? I mean,
Well, that particular program,
Program.
it's not my job to punish them. Our job is to maintain the safety and security inside the jail. And my job is to try to help these individuals go back out of this jail and live a positive, have a positive impact in their community. So you can call it hug a thug or whatever else you just called it, but I think that that's good police work.
We call it restorative justice in Travis County, and we really believe these folks are going to come back. So the choice is, if you can help somebody get a job, there's one less excuse to live the life of a criminal. And so I was proud of the city when they removed that box, so long as it's not a sensitive position. There are certain positions, i.e. police officer, somebody that's going to be a paramedic potentially, it's going to
Fusion
be,
Center job.
you might want to know somebody's got a history of being a rapist or a molester or something before you put them in certain sensitive positions. But absent that, we absolutely believe in restorative justice. We have the reentry roundtable here that criminal justice agencies, the DA's office, the county attorney, everybody comes together with private partners and public partners to try to see how we can help people transition from jail back into society.
And if that blows your mind, I'm gonna tell you something else that we're doing. We have a GED program. We help individuals get their GED that's in the jail. We also have a contract with the Austin Community College, where we teach inmates computer skills, how to work on a computer. We teach them how to write a resume. So we have a bunch of programs off in the jail.
you mean you can go to college in jail?
You can't go to college. You might think you're in college. I'm talking about a GED.
I really.
You're getting a GED.
Anything else?
I'm amazed, man.
Thank you.
I
Thank you,
think
Rudy. Anybody
that
else?
Travis County and the city of Austin
Ah.
are very progressive in that arena in regards to giving folks a second chance, if you will. And one of the things that we speak a lot to our young kids is that, be very cautious and preach to them about, the prevention of getting a felony when you're very young at 18 or 19, because that felony will follow you for life, and it prohibits you from many opportunities to participate because of that. So, it's just real hard. Even though they have these type of programs, I mean, the limit is to what type of jobs you can get.
But you know what, but in all fairness, in our county and a lot of counties around the country, we understand that young people are going to make poor decisions. And that's why we have a lot of opportunities for folks. They have deferred adjudication. We have a lot of opportunities for folks where those charges actually get dropped altogether and eventually even expunged. And that's the county and the city taking the lead to make sure that we don't create a lifetime criminal for one mistake, that we don't start a cycle. One of the things I've been talking a lot about, and I've talked to the sheriff about, is how we've criminalized childhood to a certain extent. Where when we were kids, if we got in a fight, a fist fight, they'd take us over to the counselor's office, they'd chew us out, they'd give us Saturday detention. That would be the end of it.
And
But
paddle, they would paddle us.
I was gonna
Oh,
say.
they paddle.
Yes,
They
with
paddle,
a hole in the
yeah.
board.
That's- mine still
now
hurt.
now they call the police. They'll call the
Yeah.
EISD police.
Well,
and
now
next
if
thing
you
know,
paddle your kid, the police will throw you in jail.
Or
Well-
Child Protective Services
And
nowadays.
another thing, you have police right there inside the schools now.
Yeah.
And teachers are trying to make the officers the disciplinarians instead of addressing the
And so now there's
particular
pushback from law enforcement to try to get away from that because that's these are kids.
Not
And
what I'm
kids are gonna do
paying
some
my-
dumb things.
Okay,
Okay, Ms. Presley.
good, ma'am. State your name and go for it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Laura Presley, and I'm a business owner here in Austin. And my question is going to be for Sheriff Hamilton. And we know that there's a lot of people frustrated with the TSA at the airport, and with frisking of citizens, and now the most recently the TSA has been found, at least in Houston, found to be swabbing drinks and inspecting your drinks after you've passed the security zone. I'm a sexual assault survivor, and I cannot stand it when the TSA gropes me. They put their hands between my breast, they touch my genitals, and put their hands between my legs. And Sheriff Hamilton, I cannot. I hate this. And there's a lot of sexual assault survivors here in Travis County who hate this behavior. So my question is more related to you, Sheriff, and also Mr. Vincent and Chief Acevedo. You three took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States before you took office. I want to read you the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. The TSA is violating the Fourth Amendment. Sheriff Hamilton, what can you do about this, and what will you commit to doing?
Well, again, those are the TSA's rules, and there's nothing that me as a sheriff can go in there and dictate what actions these individuals, how their policies and procedures. I believe that there needs to be a conversation with the higher ups to address those particular issues. Number one is simple. You could start off by talking with the congressman, and from there, moving forth and talking with more and getting this conversation on the table. I've heard this argument all the time. I think it's totally inappropriate for an individual to touch your breasts or your genitals area. I think that's inappropriate, and I think it needs to be addressed with TSA.
And I might add, it's not only inappropriate, it's against the Constitution. It's against the law. And you as sheriff are the absolute authority on the law here in Travis County.
I think what you said, if I could, can you nullify that's federal stuff, right?
Yes, he can. You
As
can.
county
You
sheriff,
can.
can you nullify federal law?
I
He
won't.
says no.
Well, there's also the 10th Amendment.
Right.
So, anyway, thank
Now I'm
you.
going back to my governor, huh?
Thank
Yeah.
you, but I want to impress on all three of you. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution, and you're not doing it. Your departments are not upholding the Constitution. I want to be real clear about
I'd
that.
have to take exception with that because the Constitution isn't based on your personal interpretation or tags interpretation. We're a nation of laws, and for our nation to work, it may not be perfect. It's absolutely flawed. But for you to say that we don't abide by the Constitution, the United States Supreme Court is the court of the land. And unless they tell me to do something that is completely out in left field, that's the law we follow. If they say tomorrow that TSA can't make those searches, and the TSA decides we don't care what the Supreme Court says, I'm willing to bet that the sheriff, I know that my position would change because now we have the court, the highest court in the land, saying TSA that is absolutely a violation of the Fourth Amendment. It's a violation of the 10th Amendment, And I think that at that point, we have the authority. Absent that decision, we have to abide by, it's kind of like the blood draw that I think a lot of folks don't like. Well, the day that the United States Supreme Court tells me we cannot do non-consensual testing, that same minute we're stopping, because that's the rules that we play under, and that's this country that we have and the way it works. So
One more
I would
point.
never
You have to
I would
limit.
never knowingly tolerate my people not following the Constitution. And you know what? And I'm a police officer. They know I'm a police officer. I'm coming back. This is a funny story. I'm traveling armed, okay? I am carrying a weapon on my person. And because it was a one-way trip, the S came up, SSS. You know what that means, secondary search. And they're searching the heck out of me, and I'm thinking to myself, and I asked them, I said, well, I'm coming on board with a gun. Does it make any sense to you that you need to be basically doing what you just described? So I do understand where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, we have to follow the laws of the nation. And as it comes to the constitutionality of law, it's really up to the Supreme Court to make that decision.
But the
Thank you.
one comment,
Quickly.
Mr. Ritter. The Supreme Court has ruled that without probable cause, you, Chief Acevedo, and your people cannot do what the TSA is doing. Because they are another organization doesn't mean that they're not subject to the laws.
But then I think that what has to happen is somebody needs to take TSA and sue them for that, and then keep kicking it up until the Supreme Court makes the final decision. I'm not aware of any rulings from any court rendering or making the judgment that it's unconstitutional. That's why we're kind of stuck. People don't realize that airports are really federal, and air transportation really falls under federal law, where we have very limited jurisdiction. For example, last week we had, I don't even remember the name of the band, some guy interfered with on an aircraft, interfered with a flight crew. Well, we can't charge them with the interference with the flight crew. That's actually federal law because it's involving aviation.
Yeah, but the Constitution doesn't say that we can exclude things. That's not what this says. And you guys took an oath, and you're not upholding it, period. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel.
Throughout the history
Anybody else? Get along.
of our community, there's always been this issue of police relations with the communities. Vincent, I know that you and Nelson Linder took an effort or are making a lead in trying to repair that. Could you give us some feedback on that? How's that going? Is it working? Is it being effective? Or
Yes, a little bit at a time. There's been
Okay.
kind of a come together on having some serious discussions that we haven't had for years. And, you know, every once in a while there's a high-profile incident where one of our officers has used deadly force, and it's a tragedy to the community, the family, and the officer. What we have said is we're trying everything we can from the police officer standpoint. The chief, through training and technology and policy, does everything that he can to try to eliminate those instances. But the bottom line is that there's a common denominator in all of these instances, and that's where someone decided to be combative and not cooperate or not comply with the police officer's instructions, whether the police officer in their mind was right or wrong. And those things, although they, when these happen, 99% of the time, no one gets hurt. It has deadly consequences sometimes when you choose to fight, assault the police, run from the police, and those kind of things. So we're reaching out to the community, also telling them if you believe the officer is wrong, is usurping their authority, there are all kinds of avenues in which you can address that problem with a police officer. Just don't fight them on the street so we can avoid these tragedies. And that message is being embraced by the community. And our officers are embracing the message that they understand that they're held accountable. They've embraced the fact that they film just about everything that they do. So there has been a coming together.
Okay. Well, tell them everything they do. Go ahead. Your name?
My name is Lynn Foster, and I'm a member of the Peaceful Streets Project. And we record police activity even on the Trailer Park Show.
Well, thank you.
We do
I'd like
that-
to be on your tape.
Good. We do that to protect our citizens. Used to be that the police had the motto to protect and serve, and they don't do that anymore. They have no obligation to protect and serve you, and so that's why we do it for ourselves, to the extent that we can do it. I've read that you're 8 times more likely to die from law enforcement than a terrorist. And unfortunately, we've seen since 9/11 a lot of militarization and federalization of police forces. That's very unfortunate. My question is, why can't we have a program that will systematically remove bad cops from the force?
Well, I think if you ask the union president.
Thank you for the question.
Well, that's his question.
Let me off?
What, sir? Well, I think if you ask the union president, he'll tell you that you have a program. That's called the Police Administration. That the recent article in the Statesman brought up that in the last 10 years, this administration has fired the majority of the officers. A lot of folks don't realize it. And on top of that, a lot of officers quit. They see the handwriting on the wall, so they quit. And what it really brought out that I thought was huge for me, that gave me a great sense of pride, is that external complaints from the community has gone down in the last 5 years, but internal complaints have gone up. And to me, that builds a picture in my mind of we're doing something right. Officers realize that holding each other accountable, and he'll tell you that we will, and we'll argue about it a little bit. I expect my supervisors to supervise. I expect my officers, when they see something that is clearly wrong, that they need to report it. It's required by policy, and when they fall short, we hold them accountable. So if you look at the data and you look at the stats, you will see that we're a department that holds our people to very high standards. When we think they're right, some of these uses of force where folks don't think that they're deadly uses of force, we're going to base our decisions on the law and on the evidence, and not on which way the wind's blowing. But I think that we're heading in absolutely the right direction. And quite frankly, if you think we're a bad department, I'd like to take you on a field trip, because when we come back, I promise you, you will be very happy to be policed by the Austin Police Department.
Where could we get the data that you're talking about?
We can get it for you. Just I'll get you an email and tell me what you need. We'll get you all the information.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
As the chief says, we sometimes have conflict about, there's a lot of discipline in the department. And so for someone to say, how can we get rid of bad cops? What I'm questioning is, what's your definition of a bad cop? Is that someone that arrested somebody and you don't believe they should have been arrested? I will tell you, any bad cops that we have in the Austin Police Department, as soon as this chief finds out about it, they're gone. There's a history of that. There's been 13% of our workforce has been disciplined in the last 5 years. If you don't think this chief is vigilant in any kind of misconduct, you haven't seen the numbers.
I want to see him.
All right, go ahead, Craig.
All right, my name is Craig Gandy. I host a live television program, JCI Live, on Thursday nights. My wife and daughter are both producers here at Channel Austin, and I don't have any complaints. I have traveled all over the world and seen the police force throughout the world, and I am pleased with the quality of service that we have here. Chief Acevedo, what you're doing to reach out into the community through events such as Keeling Elementary School, where you had officers there. We filmed the project at the Austin Community Fest, and you had officers there with horses, that the kids were petting the horses, climbing in and out of SWAT trucks, sitting on the motorcycles of and they were nice BMW motorcycles.
Yeah.
I mean, these are, but the PAL, the Police Athletic Organization, reaching out into with the kids, the youth group. These are the differences that are making the quality of the police force in Austin that are different than you'll find in other places of the country. People come into our city, they look, I've seen for the special events, people come in with attitudes that they don't find that same attitude here because the level of service y'all are providing. The Sheriff Hamilton going down to Travis County Courthouse on 7th and 35 there. I had a ticket, and the quality of service that your people provide. It wasn't made, coming into our community, we want our community to grow. We want we have the same problems everyone else has: immigration, the taxes, the groping of people. But But we know that we have a voice to listen to. But my question is when we do have organizations that want to partner with the police, with the Travis County Sheriff, what are the points of contact that they can reach out to identify how they can partner and collaborate on projects where y'all come in and help with these type of organizations?
Well, there's many ways with the sheriff's office. Number one, we have building bridges, brick by brick. We meet the second Friday of every month over at not David Chapel. What's the off of Martin Luther King? What's the? I'll get it in a minute.
Okay.
But it's B.W. McClendon is the pastor over there. We meet there to talk about issues here in the community, but also
Mount Zion?
No, Mount Zion is where I go. But individuals can contact me, and depending on what they want to partner, what they want to do as far as a partnership, I will set up a meeting with that particular unit, and we will sit down. Matter of fact, today we had an individual that's with the Veterans Intervention Program that wanted to come in and visit with individuals who have fought in the war, and that have PTSD, to have a military person to come in there and help them get resources. So, and I hook them up with our counseling services. And this happens all the time. So the availability to partner with us, all you have to do is call the sheriff's office and we'll get you with the right people.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Craig.
Chief.
Craig also does help us a lot here at the show, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, or just
Thank-
call my office as well, 974-5030, and we're always looking for opportunities.
My
to-
complaint
to
is
do it.
BMWs. We don't buy any more Harleys, I guess.
Uh,
Everybody got time for that. Just go
yeah,
on.
Well, congratulations on the new helicopter you got.
Thank you very much.
And I
What
think
kind is it?
It's a A-Star Eurocopter.
Eurocopter again?
B3. And what's exciting for me, having come from LA County with all the fires, is that if you go up to, and I've talked about this before, if you go up to Bonella, Mount Bonelli, and you look out, there's
right.
a lot of fuel for fires here, and we have not had the 100-year event here.
Well, I'm just thinking they
Scares
build
me.
Bell helicopters just down the road.
The problem is the capacity and the
Can't park. Performance standards.
well, and it doesn't have the open cabin, which is what we wanted for our flight.
Okay. Oh, Chris?
And the church is
Oh,
St. James Baptist
St.
Church.
James.
St. James.
St. James.
So any organization can inquire and attend those meetings, Sheriff?
Yes,
or is
anybody,
it
Hurry up.
anybody in the community.
in the
can do it.
community?
Yes.
I just want to give a word just one word
Go
of
ahead.
caution, because people will come to me on a regular basis, and I can save the world if the police department can give me $200,000. Okay, here's the
I can
deal.
do it for half that price.
Yeah, we don't have very much fat left in our budget, so if that's why you're meeting with
All right,
me,
I'll do it for a quarter of that price.
yeah, if you want to do, if you got sweat, we're ready for you. If you
All
want
right.
to do some sweating.
All right, Ma. Hit it.
The boss.
All right, it's
Isn't that
Mrs.
boss?
Pokey here.
Is this too much?
She's
I
the
want to thank
boss.
you. First of all, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for coming in tonight. It's
Yeah, we
been a
do.
wonderful show so far. But as being a former member of the Austin Police Watch, Cop Watch, years ago, with Mr. Nee as police chief,
Yeah.
we got together and sat down with you as a group, as with the police chief, with the sheriff's department, whoever was there. We sat
Breakfast.
down and set out the protocols for what kind of behavior we could do, what we couldn't do. And I just want to reiterate, is there any way like this Austin Safe Streets project could come down, contact you, and get some protocols set so that they're not interfering with what you're doing and your guys aren't getting mad at what they're doing? Because we would stay away, we wouldn't interfere, we'd film, and it was not only for you guys' protection, it was also for the protection of the citizen as well.
Well, absolutely. I think that for anybody to think that our cops aren't used to being filmed by now, I mean, I've never seen so many people filming cops like here in Austin.
Everybody's got a camera there.
Everybody's got a camera.
Thank you, Ma.
Here's the problem. There are some people that think that you have the right to actually engage, intervene, and interfere.
That's,
Listen,
that's
it-
interfering with a police
it's,
officer.
if you really want to catch a cop doing something wrong, you probably shouldn't let them know you're filming in the first place, and you probably should be low key. To me, and it's not the majority of them, because the majority of the safe.
Safe Streets.
Safe Street, Peaceful Streets project.
Peaceful Streets.
The vast majority of those folks are just quietly videotaping, and they're not engaging, they're not inserting themselves, they're not agitating, and so I think their heart's in the right place. But there's just one or two people that feel that they have a right to actually become part of the contact, and you don't have a right to do that. I'm sorry.
you don't.
We're just going to have to agree to this. If you look at the thousands of times that we've been videotaped, there've been 2 or 3 arrests in the 5 years I've been here.
We're gonna need to hurry up here.
But anyways,
Okay.
again, thank you gentlemen for all coming down tonight. I appreciate you being down here.
So we'd be willing to meet with anybody at any time.
It's true. I called them up. They come on this show, so you know.
I do want to mention that when they were interviewing for the police chief for Austin,
Yeah,
here,
way back.
way back when, I had the opportunity to be one of those members that interviewed or spoke to Chief Acevedo at that time. And I said, well, the only way I'm going to support you is if you are hired chief, that you reinstate the PAL program. Because it had, because of budget, or I used to work at the South Austin Rec Center
Yeah.
in my younger days.
Well, we gotta hurry up.
Okay, but it's a real good program because this is one of those programs that introduces the police to the community and families in a positive way, as opposed to always, in the negative way when they come and arrest mom or dad or the uncle
But
or
you know what,
whatever.
Davina, I remember that. It was my first Tuesday when I had my own little community forums that drove the city crazy. Because I wanted to meet the activists of Austin, so they got to know me and my art, and I wanted to meet you all. But it's not just Police Activities League. We started the Explorer program that was gone, and and now we have the urban scouting initiative, where we have about 1,600 kids in East Austin. Most of them are at risk from either single-family homes. Some of them have parents in prison, and guess what we're delivering to them? Scouting in their schools. The data's clear. If you participate in a program like that for 5 years or more, the high school graduation rate goes up to 92%. Think about that. When we're actually facing a 50, 55, 60% dropout rate in many inner city schools. So I'm proud of what we're doing. We're not doing enough because it takes money and time, and we all know that our resources are very limited. But we're going to, as long as I'm chief, we're never going to get rid of those youth programs.
And one of the other things that I can add about Austin Police Department is that we have partnered with their organization. We have a barbecue team. APD has a barbecue team. We've come together to be a part of the rodeo, the Star of Texas Rodeo. This last year, collectively, I believe that we raised about $40,000. But all in all, the entire, all of the barbecue teams, we raised about $300,000 that will go to youth scholarships. So we are very involved in the community, and we do a lot of things together.
And a big piece of that is really the Austin Police Association and Wayne Vincent, who's here. I don't want to speak for you, but his heart's in that, and they do a great job.
Well, our officers actually go out there and volunteer 3 days of a lot of hard work and a lot of food. We fed up to nearly 4,000 people at that place, and it's good for our officers too, because they're not out there making arrests. They're cooking for the public and they're giving back, and they love it. And so the association couldn't do it without our members volunteering their time, and in a lot of instances, their spouses and their children coming out to do that too. So we're very proud of our cops.
Good deal. Sabrina, go quick.
Hi, my name's Sabrina, and I studied law here in Austin. And an old criminal professor told me at ACC, he told me that whenever the laws don't bend, certain people get thrown to one side or the other. You have your 3 types of criminals, your NORPs, your slugs, and your down and out criminals.
I don't know about this.
We're going through a recession, and I'm still seeing it. I know certain circles aren't seeing it, but I'm seeing it. And I'm wanting to know if both the county and the city are aware of this, and what are y'all doing? Anywhere from evictions to homicides. And today actually is a World Suicide Prevention Day on the eve of 9/11. I know we've got a lot of stuff to look at economically.
Well, we got about 8 minutes, so
Well,
not to be pressy here, but I know I'd like to hear from Heather here at least.
Yeah,
I
I'd
can
like
tell
to-
I can tell you as far as the evictions, those are done by the constable's office.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
constables are doing the eviction. But as far as the economy, the downslide of the economy, one of the things that we have found is that there are more and more suicides. Individuals
Yes.
are committing a lot of suicide. So that's one of, and there's a lot of individuals that are trying to have suicide by cop. And when I say that, that means when an officer approaches them, they come out with a gun or they try to attack them with a knife, and the officer, we've been fortunate. One of the things that our officers have either been able to take that individual in custody without using deadly force, or use a taser to prevent those individuals. But I believe that a lot of people are going over the edge because they are lost everything.
Okay.
Thank you, Colonel.
All right, Heather. Yeah.
Real quickly, there still seems to be an issue out in the community that officers are profiling. How do you respond to that?
They look like thugs, pull them over.
Well, I can tell you that we just did our report. All the law enforcement agencies have to turn in a racial profiling report. This has been the fifth year that we have gotten no racial profiling complaints.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you look at our complaints, they're really, I can't think of more than one that we have gotten for racial profiling. One of the indicators that you have to really be careful about is consent searches. Consent searches, when I was a young cop, they used to tell me, hey, good cops, don't rely on consent searches. That's a lazy cop. Good cops develop true, legitimate, probable cause. We use them very sparingly. They've gone down. And so I think that's a good thing. We just changed our policy that require that consent search not only be videotape, audio tape, but also that it be written consent to make sure people understand that this is in fact a voluntary. It's something that you can.
What happens if you say no?
Then the officer has to
Continue
move
to
on.
go on, huh?
You say, if somebody asks you for consent and you say no, it's done. Unless they had probable cause that they can articulate for a prosecutor and a jury that they had specific probable cause. But the other thing is we're going to have, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be rolling out 3 more that I'm not ready to talk about yet, but 3 more changes in policy that.
Oh, great.
Yeah, well, we can help you.
You ready, though?
That I think is going to
We
create.
can't talk about that yet?
Not yet, but
Well, we got it.
it's going to help build even more trust and
Then
not
what?
break it down. So I
That's
think it'll be
right.
positive, and I think you'll like them.
We'll have to hear from one of y'all about this anyway, we're gonna run out quick, Heather. I know you got something good to ask.
Heather
Yes.
always has good stuff to ask.
My name is Heather Fazio with Texans for Accountable Government. One of my concerns and the concerns of Texans for Accountable Government is the militarization and centralization of power when it comes to law enforcement. We see it with the fusion centers, we see it with Urban Shield, which is a full-scale military exercise that both the city of Austin and Travis County are going to be participating in.
Is that right, Sheriff?
Yeah.
The federal government is known for trampling our rights, and I think that it is incumbent upon our local leaders to stand up for us when they are calling bad shots. So my question to you is, in the case of a disaster or a terrorist act, who is calling the shots, DHS or your consciences?
No, I mean, if we have jurisdiction, whatever it is, we're going to retain jurisdiction and we're going to investigate whatever the incident is. Urban Shield, I don't think there's any. I don't know what you're talking about in terms of militarization. I don't think that there's any military involved. That's going to be EMS, fire, different agencies. But I don't believe, and I'll double check, Heather, to make sure so I don't look like a fool. But I don't recall any participation by any federal entity. Now, back in the state of California, I can tell you, having been in the state police, we had something similar to Urban Shield. It was a statewide exercise, and the role that was played by the feds was that we wanted to test to see how long would it take to put police cars. As a state agency, you have to respond to mutual aid. How long would it take to put a company of officers, specially trained officers for whatever the mission may be, into a C5 or C-130 to move the officers and the equipment statewide? So we actually use them, but I don't believe that they're part of this. But I'll double check, and especially remind me on an email, and I'll let you know whether or not.
Sure, part of the
I
authorization
don't-
from the city of Austin was, it's called a full-scale military exercise. And when Urban Shield has been executed around the country, not only our military, but foreign military has also participated, which
just
leads to my
come
second
on,
question, is are you okay with
One
training
more question.
our local peace officers with military, not only from this country, but also from others?
I've been in law enforcement 26 plus years. I have never trained or witnessed a foreign military service train with the people I've been around, and I don't know in the 5 years I've been here where we've ever trained with foreign military. Now we have a partnership with the 3rd Cav out of Fort Hood, where they're doing a lot of police work. Really, I mean, if you think about what's happening in Iraq and Afghanistan, they're doing a lot of.
World policing, right.
Well, I'll leave you to define it, but they're doing a lot of things that traditionally have been a law enforcement role. And what we tried to do was teach them how to investigate crimes. We trained them. It was the other way around, so they could be successful, not get themselves hurt, and most importantly, so they could do things right and not be like an army, if that's what their mission was. So I'll check on that, and I'll get back to you. Especially, please send me an email if you remember. I don't get back to you by the end of the week. Send me an email.
And I'm not familiar with the military being a part of this, but I do believe that there's going to be federal agencies that will be a part of the
Yeah.
urban shield. And the only time that I can think of Travis County even involved with the military is when there's competition, like a SWAT competition, but not as far as training is concerned.
Okay, we only got like 2 minutes quick. You want to say anything quick, Francis? Francis Gabriel, right? And then want to quickly, you only got like a minute, and then we got to cut off and let them say something before we go.
All right, my name is Gabriel Nila. I've been in Austin for about 7 months, and I've got to say this. I want to compliment you, Chief Acevedo. In the time that I've been here, I come from a city that has a lot of corruption going on. West Texas, you could probably figure out where it's at.
So you've been on that field trip I always talk about,
Yes.
huh? Okay.
But I want to tell you something real quick. I've got to commend you for the fact that whenever there's an issue that comes up, you're there, and you're talking to the people. You're talking to the people on the radio. You're talking to people on TV, saying, "Okay, yes, we either screwed up or we didn't screw up, and here's how we're doing it." And if you have to make any changes, you're on it like that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to commend you on that part.
Thank you.
So, but
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
So that's going to end the show.
we are going to have our second annual 4th of July parade, so I want to let y'all know ahead of time,
What
Chief.
date would that be?
Sheriff, it's going to be that weekend of the 4th of
She's
July.
a little slow. She's a little
Okay,
slow.
I'll send you emails and remind you so that we can.
We do appreciate y'all
we can
coming
start
on. It's been
working on
interesting.
it.
Wish we had more time. I do like the way a lot of good questions here, like the Fusion Center. I know that was controversial, but I thought after 9/11 we need that kind of thing.
But I'd like to say we also work really closely with TAG to try to allay some of the concerns. And Councilmember Morris, I remember the day that we were passing that. You know, we can agree to disagree on a lot of issues, but I would challenge people, like I challenge my cops, to say that my heart's not in the right place. I challenge people that really know me, and I think Heather knows me pretty well. My heart's in the right place. We may not agree how to get there, but I think at the end of the day, we have the same goal: a safe city, a police department that's respectful of people's rights, and that we do, in fact, obey and respect the Constitution.
And we got 30 seconds, so we just have to say goodnight. We'll be back. I do appreciate y'all coming on. I know what Wayne Vincent had plenty to say to us before. We was out at another forum we had. And the sheriff, of course, is always welcome on, and good luck on the coming up election. I don't think you'll have any problems.
Well, you've always had a good saying, Chief. We're here to please you and work with you. Don't get in trouble, and you won't find
There you
me.
go, yeah.
That's right. I mean, you remember.
Hey,
Yeah.
later on, folks. Good night.
Thank
We're
you.
out.